Hey guys, what is up? Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. For today's video, well, firstly, I did want to start off by saying thank you so much to those who messaged me on Instagram and on here asking me if I was okay because there was massive flooding here in New York, Brooklyn, Queens, all of that. I was actually going to go to the city. I was planning on it and I was like, okay, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, I was like, all right, let's do this. And I'm like, I don't know if I feel like going, you know? Thank goodness I did not because the subway system was like all over the place. If you were part of like the heavy storm, I hope that you're doing okay. For today's video, I wanted to share with you guys my, I would say, final thoughts, opinions, and takes on just a bunch of brand new eyeshadow palettes that recently released. So I guess I'll keep you posted. I figured I would do this maybe like just for eyeshadows and then like the other goodies that I wanted to speak to you guys about, like some like foundations that I recently bought, concealers, lip products. I'll do that in an upcoming I'll keep you posted video, but I figured I would dedicate this specific one to just palettes just because I have, I want to say about 8 or 9 that recently came out that I wanted to like get back to you guys on to let you know if it's something that you should pick up or if it's something that you should stay clear of. With a lot of these palettes, I also have first impressions, so I'll have all those videos linked down below, plus all these palettes as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Also, I shared with you guys my nails yesterday, but if you missed it, yeah, we got some full vibes going for us today. I really love it. This is S&S dip powder, so it's not necessarily my nails. They put like an acrylic nail and then they kind of like filed it down because my nails are like, it's gonna be a no. But you know, S&S dip powder saves the day again, and I love it. So cute. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first palette that we have up is this right here by Natasha Denona. This is the new Xenon. I love that name, Xenon palette. So it's the newest little one she recently the newest little palette she recently released. It retails for $25. I do have a first impression up on this. And in here we do get 4 mattes and 1 metallic. So 2 here that are matte, and then the middle one is a metallic. I really like this palette. I think that, I'll tell you what it is. These tones here I feel like are not the easiest to make or to do or to blend. So I am happy to see that Natasha Denona did come out with a palette like this because I feel like her, I'll be honest, I really love her formula. For me, it's ultimately one of the best formulas out there when it comes to palettes, shadows, all of that. So I feel like she is the one who does it the best, in a sense, you know, along with a few other artists, but I feel like she's definitely up there. So with that being said, these shades are actually very smooth, very creamy, very buildable, but because they are the tones that they are, you're gonna have to give yourself a few extra moments to create like a look, you know what I'm saying? You could go light with these shades and then this shade right over here if you don't want to, you know, deepen things up too drastically, but the black is also an option to work with. I will also say I feel like these 2 shades here are maybe a little bit repetitive. It would have been maybe a bit cooler if she would have included another metallic instead of, I would say, this one or even this one, like, you know, one of those, because I find that I can create so many different looks with this because there's only 1 metallic shade, and with my style of doing makeup I like to throw shades in the crease and then a few shades on the lids, and a lot of times I could throw the same shades in the crease but different shades on the lids and the look could look completely different, you know. But with this one I don't think it's that versatile because there aren't a lot of metallics, and I would have loved if she would have included at least 2, you know what I mean? Nonetheless, I still really like this palette and I still could create somewhat pretty different-ish looks, but it's probably not the most diverse palette she created when it comes to these little ones. The metallic in here is pure heaven, super delicious, very smooth, doesn't have like a thickness to it where it's like you know, it's like boom and done, you know. So I really love this. I actually also really enjoy using this with the other 5-pan palettes that she has, and I think it's a good one. I don't have a lot of shades like this in my collection, so anytime I'm looking for this specific look, this one right here is a winner for me. So I would say this is your color story. It's a fun one to pick up, but if you're not crazy about this specific color story, then maybe skip out on it because of the reasons I have just stated, that kind of thing. Hopefully all of that made sense, but yeah, I still really like it and I'm happy that I have it in my collection. Next up we have this palette right here, which is the Too Faced Cinnamon Swirl palette. So I actually did a first impression on this with 2 different looks on Sunday, and it's Thursday today, so it's kind of like, girl, what? So I use it there, you know, with 2 looks, and then I use it pretty much every single day till yesterday. So when I did a few different looks as well to really get a feel of what this palette has to offer, and I'm here to report back to you guys. So this right here retails for $49. It's available on Ulta's site, on Too Faced site, and I believe in Ulta stores as well. This right here smells like straight up cinnamon, so if you like that, you might enjoy this. Not necessarily cinnamon buns, but just the cinnamon part, but not in a nauseating way. It is pretty strong though. So this palette right here includes a selection of matte and metallics. We don't really get much satins in here actually at all. Most of these tones and shades are very like neutral, like everyday appropriate, I would say. In my first impressions video, I did take out my peanut butter and jelly palette that Too Faced made a few years ago and compared it to this little color story here because it's totally reminding me of that. And it was interesting because when I pulled that out, I'm like, wait, no, when I showed you the palettes, like comparing all of them, I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is PB&J, you know? So that's all of this. And then here we get more of like those neutral tones. So I will say, if you do have that peanut butter and jelly palette, I don't know if you have a few other neutral palettes around, is this necessary? What really is, you know what I mean? I guess it's all relative, but I really like this. I think that the quality is superb. The mattes are so buttery beyond smooth and so like delicious to work with. Very, very, very easy. And I mean, all of their like, I would say gingerbready, like pumpkin-y palettes are pretty good, but I feel like this, I mean, I say this every year, I feel like this is better than the one last year. But this is better than the one from last year, like in regards to quality. And last year's palette was also really, really good. And like I said in my first impression as well, I feel like it's almost like a tradition for me to pick this up. So I am happy to have it in my life. I would not miss out on the opportunity to pick it up. I think it's a beautiful one. If you are into neutral palettes with pops of purple, this might be something that would suit your needs. I love pops of purple and neutral shades together. I think they go really, really well. I think this would be a great everyday palette, no fuss, quick out the door kind of thing. But if you want to spice things up like for a night out or something and you just still want to stay in the neutral family with something extra, this might be a winner for you. Next up we have these little babies right here by Huda, or how Emma says Huda. I love when she says it, she's like Huda. I'm like, you're so cute. Okay, so we have some of the Huda Beauty Wild Obsessions palettes here. I believe that there are 4 in the line. I do have 3 out of the 4 which I purchased. I do have a first impression on these as well if you guys want to check it out. But first up is the Wild Python palette. I actually took this with me to Florida recently when I went there, and this was pretty much the main palette that I used. I think it's beautiful. I also think it's one that I don't have a lot of, so it definitely is very unique to my collection. I like that we get neutral shades over here, and then the pops of like green and then blue and then like gold, and you could get a bunch of different looks with this one just because we have a nice selection of metallic shades, and then you can even use the same shades for the crease, and I think you should be good to go. I did create a look with this that I posted on Instagram that I absolutely love. I mean, it did take me a little bit of time to get there, but the final result was like yum to me. In regards to formula, the mattes in here are definitely the winners, I would say. I think that the metallics, they're good, but they're a little bit more on the stiffer side, so the type where it's like you know, in Friends when Joey's like it's not like one swift motion kind of thing and you're done. It's more like you kind of have to build up and just like da 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 and then da da. So it's not like the bestest metallic formula ever. However, I still think it's pretty good. Is it worth $29? I mean, the price is always factored in, of course, because if this would be $3, yes, run, get it, but $29, I'll tell you, if this is a color story that inspires you, I think you can do a lot with this one, but if you don't think you're gonna use it or you're not interested in actually giving a palette a little bit of extra time, I would probably say skip out on this one. Next up, we have the Wild Chameleon palette. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is one that I did use in my first impressions video. I think this is a good one. I think that this is actually better than the Wild Python palette. Overall, like judging this overall, I think it's better. The mattes are really nice, very smooth, very creamy. I mean, the mattes in all of them are not like as smooth as like the mattes in, let's say, the Cinnamon Swirl palette. The mattes in here are legit butter, but it's still really good. The metallics in this specific palette are really, really nice and very soft. I would say especially these 3. This one right here has like almost that like stiffness to it. So, but overall, that's only just one shade. But overall, I think that this palette right here is an absolute winner. I love the color story of this one too, because it's like warm, but with a twist of something extra, especially because of this purple and this gold. And it's not like your typical warm palette that like we see we see a million times over, but not so much these days, but kind of here and there we do kind of see it. I think this would be a gorgeous palette going into the fall months, and I think that these tones really complement a bunch of different skin tones. So I love this baby. I think it's a good one. And then we have the Wild Jaguar. So this right here definitely has more of like your cooler tone shades. So when I was using this the few times that I did, it kind of reminded me of like the Natasha Denona Xenon palette. Not completely, but like maybe a little bit in the same family-ish, cousins, not sisters, cousins, maybe like third cousins kind of thing. Mainly because we get this black and then this shade right up here, which is, I would say, somewhat pretty similar to what's included in here. So with this palette, I will say it's not necessarily my favorite. I really enjoy the Natasha Denona, her cool tone palette. What is that called? I always forget the names. Her cool tone bigger palette, the $65 one. I'll throw a pic up in here. I really enjoy that palette, and I do like this one for this type of color story. So personally, for me, if I had to choose, I would just get the Natasha Denona one, even though that one is 65 bucks and this is 29. Is this necessarily worth $29? It's also like I'm in the middle with it. Same thing with the Python palette. I would say both of these are on the same page. From the three, I really think that this one right here is the best one. The mattes in here were nice. The black was actually pretty good for being a black. But I would say most of the metallic shades had a very, like, a thickness to them. And I personally don't like that. I like when it just kind of like glides on and it's like butter. With this one, it's like thick, you know? And also the type that when you apply it with your finger, you apply and then you still have so much on your finger, but it doesn't come off your finger because it has like that thickness to it. I hope this all is making sense. Anyways, I'm in the middle with this one, not fully beyond obsessed. Also because I have other color stories that look like this. So if I had to choose, I would just choose something else in my collection instead of, you know, using this one. I think it's decent, but is it worth $29? I would probably say skip. It's not like your ultimate amazing formula. Okay, next up I have this Tom Ford quad. I recently hauled this in my Sephora haul that I put up maybe like 2 weeks ago. Yes. So that video will be linked down below if you guys want to check that out. But, well, fast speaking girl here. Anyways, this quad is in Body Heat. This is actually my second Tom Ford quad. I purchased one at a CCO and then this I purchased from Sephora. This is 80 bucks, right? Yeah, 80 or $88, which is like, what? Really, really pricey, but I had one from the CCO and I just fell in love with the formula because it's so beyond, like, the word I'd be able to describe it is it feels like silk. Like you feel like the vibe with it. So I'm actually wearing this on my eyes today. I used this in the crease, this in the crease, and then this on the lids, and then this on the brow bone. It also comes with like brushes and stuff. So none of these shades are matte. I would say they're more of like a satin, slightly metallic formula. Okay, so I'll tell you with this one, I really do enjoy using this. I think that they apply really beautifully on. Like I use these in the crease, I use them on the lids, and it just creates a really beautiful, like very uniformed type of look, you know? I will say in regards to this specific quad though, I feel like these two shades are really, like, they're not the same, but they're very similar. So one of the shades is in the crease, one of the shades is on the lids, and you can barely tell a difference once it's on the eye. So it almost feels like you get two of the same one. So for this specific quad, I would have maybe loved if they would have included a different shade, maybe with this one or this one, that's like significantly different. So I feel like you're actually getting 4 different shades instead of getting 4 with 2 of them being almost the same type of thing. I could see the hype around these palettes. And you definitely, like, it feels very like luxurious to use. Like you feel some form of weight when you use this, and I think that the staying power of these shadows are also really, really nice. I don't think it also emphasizes like in the crease and stuff. Usually with like either metallic shades or like satin shades, I usually don't go with that in the crease because I feel like it's too much. But I think it's really gorgeous. These are also really pretty to apply as a one swipe swatch situation. I will say I don't feel like this is the kind of palette you can create beyond multiple looks with, just because there's only 4 shades, which really there are 3 shades technically-ish. So I love the formula. It's so delicious to work with. You feel the quality with this for sure, but I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this specific quad for the reasons that I guess I just mentioned. I love this color the most. It's like a burnt orange copper type of shade, and I feel like that brings out, well, brown eyes, because I have brown eyes. I don't know about any other eye color really, but I feel like it brings out brown eyes so much, and just these tones are gorgeous. So great quality palette, fun to use, makes you feel a certain way for sure, but Body Heat is one that I don't know if I would be like, you need to run out to and get, because there are 2 shades of look exactly. Next we have this palette right here from Artist Couture. You guys, I feel like you know my love for Artist Couture shadows. I pretty much have all of his palettes to date, I want to say, or majority of them. This palette right here I believe is $48, and I purchased this actually a little bit ago, maybe like 2-3 months ago. I never got back to you guys, or I don't think that I did. I'll tell you, this isn't worth the money, shockingly, and I don't know, kind of like sad about it, because I do love his color stories in general. I feel like they're somewhat pretty unique, especially his smaller palettes I love. I have his other bigger palette, which I really do enjoy, but this one, there's something about the formula that is not fun to use, that is not fun to work with, and it, like, you know how I say sometimes when I wear eyeshadows, it looks like someone punched me in the face? Sometimes it happens with this one. I should make a video. Palettes that make me look like someone punched me in the face. Number 1. Well, I don't know if it's number 1, but it's definitely part of like the group. The formula of this is so beyond dry that it takes you years to blend out. The mattes are terrible to work with. The black in here is beyond X. And then the metallics suck, okay? I'm like really upset at this palette because it's like $48, and you know what I mean? The quality is really, really not there with this one. I'm not sure if maybe I got like a dud or what the story is, but it's not fun to use. It's just definitely a major letdown. So that's in regard to the quality. I would definitely stay clear of this one, especially for the price tag. With that money, maybe purchase the Cinnamon Swirl palette, like literally like opposite formula completely. Sucks. Cinnamon Swirl, great. I'll tell you also, with the color story, I felt like it looked very like, I don't know, I want to use the word mediocre, like very regular. Everything just looked very regular and very like, I was never obsessed with the looks that I created with this one. I will say though, this gold here is gorgeous, and then this gold orange is really pretty too. So I'll pop into those shades occasionally here and there if I want that specific color for me. But like covering this up, it's like, what is this? It's gonna be a no with this one. Next up I have the Tarte Tartlette Juicy palette. This right here retails for I think $40 or $42. I was so beyond excited about this palette. I mean, look at this. This is gorgeous. The color story is everything to me, and it also smells pretty good. It just smells like vanilla, I want to say. So in here we do get a selection of matte and metallics, basically like your rosy toned palette. So I'll tell you, the mattes in here are actually really, do you know where I got this so I'll tell you from? Every time I speak to my best friend Rivka, like whenever she wants to say something, she's always like, okay, so I'll tell you. It's never like she just says it, it's like, so I'll tell you. So that's my new word, my new phrase going on here. Merch, here we come. So I know for the past 10 years I said the same thing, but it really is gonna be in merch. Okay, so with this one, I think it's decent. It's not like one that I'm obsessed with. It's not one that I would say sucks. I would say just in the middle there. I feel like it's just a very like regular, typical palette in regards to formula. The mattes are decent. They're okay to build up and they're nice. And then I would say the metallics, I was a little bit disappointed in, just because I feel like they weren't like adding like a super saturated effect to the eyes, you know, that the type of shades that you really have to build up, even if you're going for more of like a neutral look. Well, maybe not so much neutral look, I guess you can kind of swipe it on and go, but like if you're going for like that full shebang look with this one, you really have to like build up the metallics like a lot to really get it to be seen on the eye. You could make them wet, but even with that you still have to make it wet like 3-4 times to really get like a bang for your buck kind of thing. So yeah, you know, like I love the color story and I want to make this work, and I thought I would fall in love with this like no other. I thought it would be like my baby, like my jam, but it's not really, you know. I'm still gonna use it and enjoy it and try to create more looks because I love this color story to such an extreme where it's like there are no words. But I would have wanted a little bit more with this one, you know. If you can get it on sale for like maybe like half off, I think it would be worth it. But would I recommend this necessarily for the full price tag? You know what, maybe if you're just starting out with makeup and you're not really sure how to like work certain like shadows or like, you know what I mean, this would be a great palette. But I feel like if you were in the makeup game for a little bit, this might not be the most pleasant palette to necessarily work with per se. So there's my take on that. still gonna keep it because it's cute. And then the final palette that I have here is the McGrath Huetopian eyeshadow palette. I have a first impression up on this, and let me tell ya, one second. Let me tell ya, this is a winner, okay? I don't own, okay? I don't own a ton of McGrath palettes. I don't usually jump on them like right off the bat, but this one right here kind of like changed my vision of her palettes in general. So I own a different palette. I don't know what it's called, but it's like more like a mauve tone palette, which is really pretty and I love it. Her palettes are very, very saturated. It works out for a bunch of different skin tones, and I feel like you can do a lot with them. So with that one that I have, I really like, but it wasn't one that I was like head over heels with. I think it's really pretty and I enjoy using it, but I wasn't like obsessive over it. This one, first of all, the color story is, it's just like unreal. What are words anymore with this? So gorgeous. It's like mauve tone slash peachy with a hint of gold and purple and like deliciousness. I would say, I mean, looking at like all of the pictures that she has from her other palettes and the palette that I have, this right here is my favorite. Like, this is my color story for life. The mattes in here are delicious. We get, yeah, 3 mattes in here, which are, I think, the perfect mattes. You can use this shade to deepen things up with. I love this for the crease to add a pop of something extra. And then this mauve tone shade could be like your first transition shade. It builds up beautifully. And then in regards to all of these other shades, so some of these are like glittery shades. Some of them are, I think there's one triochrome in here, which looks like it's 3 colors, but it's really one, which I believe is this one. We get some metallics. They are so beyond beautiful on the eyes, especially the glitters. They amp up your look to the next level, okay? I think this is amazing. It's definitely pretty pricey, but I know that McGrath usually has sales quite often. This is so beyond, okay? Easy to work with, builds up beautifully. What else can I say? Lasts a really long time on the eyes, and the compliments I get when I wear this. This palette right here, I will tell you, takes me out of my comfort zone. It challenges me, and every time I create a look with this one, I'm like, I'm sorry, who are you? You know what I mean? So good. The best thing ever. Okay, I feel like I've been speaking for the past 3 hours, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful in your decision making if you're going to purchase any of these palettes or if you're going to stay clear of them. I will also have a another I'll keep you posted video with like other goodies that I picked up from like YSL. I picked up the Kosas mascara. No, concealer, sorry. I have this gloss here that I have on my lips today that I want to keep you guys posted on. So that video should maybe be up in the next few days or so. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know your take on these palettes if you tried them. Let me know if you're going to pick up anything, skip out on anything. What is the vibe? Keep me posted. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.